Tom Brady just went nuclear on Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski after what Shedeur Sanders exposed behind the scenes. We're talking about NFL legend versus active coach. And Brady didn't hold back. What Shedeur revealed about Cleveland's so-called development plan triggered one of the most powerful reactions we've ever seen from the 7-time Super Bowl champion. This story is about to explode.
Go after a 1-3 stint as a starter. Rookie Dylan Gabriel is 1-3. Many in Cleveland are wondering if Shedeur Sanders now deserves his own shot. Well, today, Kevin Stefanski was asked by Mary Kay Cabot whether he's considering the possibility of playing Shedeur. His response, "The focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus." Hey, guys, can we stop asking these questions? Y'all know this man don't want to play Shedeur.
You know that, people, we know that. And people, I see people, in the chat, not in the chat, but just in general, when we talk about the Cleveland Browns, they talk about, damn, what's the word? When they don't like someone and they doing them wrong. I forgot the word to use. But listen, we already know what the play was. They didn't want him. It was Andrew Berry.
Andrew.
It was Andrew Berry's pick. It wasn't the owner. It wasn't Stefanski, so this is exactly what they want.
You know what's wild? Tom Brady just spent the last few weeks breaking down quarterback play on national television, praising young talent, talking about what it takes to succeed in this league. And then you got Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland doing the exact opposite of everything Brady preaches. While Brady's out here saying, "Give your young guys a chance," Stefanski's got Shedeur Sanders rotting on the bench with a mysterious back injury that somehow lets him throw pregame warm-ups but not play a single snap. And now, Shedeur's liking Instagram posts calling for him to start, the locker room's about to explode, and the whole football world is watching Kevin Stefanski expose himself in real time. This isn't just bad coaching anymore, folks. This is sabotage.
On Sunday, say he had dealing with a back injury. Well, how you heard it? Well, he just standing on the sideline, so I could get why his back was tight.
Hold on. Hi. He had a back surgery, but he was out there throwing balls in pregame.
I'm just saying that's what they said.
Look, ain't nothing wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with him. The same way there ain't nothing wrong with J.J. McCarthy. There's nothing wrong with him. This is just the game that they do play. If you understand the game and understand what they will do and what they will report, knowing that there's nothing wrong with you to cover their and get us on the outside to shut up. But listen, I played the game. I understand that some of the things that you will do when you don't really want a person to actually be in the game and to contribute. You don't want to look wrong. You don't want to be wrong in the decisions that you've made. Of course you're not going to play him because he probably will go in there and succeed. Shedeur Sanders works and operates very well in a chaotic environment. And that's an environment that has been created for him because of who he is, and obviously also because they didn't want him. But he will operate.
The Browns just benched Joe Flacco after going 1-3 as a starter. Now, rookie Dylan Gabriel is sitting at 1-3 himself. And the fans in Cleveland are absolutely losing their minds, asking one simple question. Why isn't Shedeur Sanders getting his shot? And when reporter Mary Kay Cabot asked Kevin Stefanski directly if he's considering putting Shedeur in the game, you know what this man said? "The focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus."
I think they about equivalent. Now he can go up and get it. T can run them routes, them 50-50 balls turn to 80-20 when it's them two.
Yeah. And the thing I like about Pick is angry. He get his hands on the ball. He like, you got to tackle me. I ain't going down. I ain't running out of bounds. You gonna have to tackle me.
Yeah.
I love that, and I love the focus that I've seen from him since he's arrived in Dallas. I love that. I love that.
I told you, it was a simple.
Shedeur has been liking IG posts today that are calling for him to start for the Browns after the bye week.
Hey,
we'll see.
Whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do. And obviously, going into the bye week, this is the Browns bye week, right?
Yes.
They definitely not. They did definitely not going to name the starter during the bye week. But we're going to see what happens. We're going to give Dylan Gabriel another week to get better. to improve himself based on what he's done so far with the 4 stars he's had? I wonder who they got coming out to buy, Unc.
That's as who they have coming out of the bye.
Oh man!
And my thing is, Ocho, is that no, you don't have to do anything. It's just like who? They got the Jets coming out of the bye.
Shoot, ain't no telling.
Hold up. Let me say that again for the people in the back. That's not my focus. Your team is 1-3 with a rookie quarterback who can't push the ball past 10 yards. Your locker room is ready to mutiny. Myles Garrett looks like he wants to fight somebody on the sideline. And playing your first-round pick quarterback. That's not your focus? Bro, come on now. And this is where Tom Brady comes into the conversation. Because while he's been in the broadcast booth breaking down film and talking about quarterback development, he's been preaching one consistent message. You gotta let young talent cook. You gotta give them reps. You gotta let them make mistakes and learn from it. That's how you build a quarterback in this league. Brady didn't become Brady by sitting on the bench healthy and watching Drew Bledsoe take snaps. He got his opportunity and he seized it. But Kevin Stefanski? Nah, he's playing a completely different game. See, here's what people don't understand about the Cleveland situation. And this is where it gets real. Shedeur Sanders wasn't Kevin Stefanski's pick. He wasn't the owner's pick either. According to people close to the situation, this was Andrew Berry's pick, the general manager. Which means from day one, Stefanski never wanted this kid on his roster. He got forced to take him, and now he's doing everything in his power to make sure Shedeur never sees the field. Because if Shedeur goes out there and balls out, if he goes out there and does what everyone thinks he can do, then Stefanski looks like a fool for not playing him earlier. And coaches, man, coaches got egos just like players. They don't want to be wrong. Let's talk about what we've seen from Dillon Gabriel so far, because the tape doesn't lie. In 4 starts, this man is 1-3. His completion percentage in training camp was 55%. In his 4 games as a starter, he's been at 58%, 56%, 72%, and 60%. Nothing spectacular. Nothing that makes you go, oh yeah, this is our guy for the future. And the most damning part? He won't push the ball down the field. You can't just dink and dunk your way to victories in the NFL, especially when you can't run the football. It's like fishing from the shore, expecting to catch the big fish. But the big fish don't swim close to the shore, my guy. They're out in the deep water. And to score points in this league, at some point you gotta chuck it downfield and take some risks. But Dillon Gabriel ain't doing that. And you know why? Because either he can't, or the coaching staff knows he can't, so they're not even calling those plays. They're trying to protect him, but in doing so, they're limiting the entire offense. And when you got receivers like Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, who can actually make plays downfield, but your quarterback won't throw it to them, that's a problem. Now here's where it gets spicy. During the preseason, people saw Dillon Gabriel push the ball downfield. He was throwing intermediate routes. He was taking shots. But now in the regular season, crickets, all short passes, all safe throws. And the offensive play calling has completely changed to accommodate his limitations, which tells you everything you need to know. They don't trust him to make big-time throws. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders is standing on the sideline, healthy enough to throw warm-up passes before the game, but mysteriously dealing with a back injury that keeps him from being the number 2 quarterback. Bailey Zappi was the backup on Sunday. Bailey Zappi! You're telling me you trust Bailey Zapp more than your first-round pick? And this is where the insider knowledge comes in, and I want you to really hear this. People who've played the game at the highest level, they understand what's happening here. They've seen this movie before. When a coaching staff doesn't want to play a guy, they'll create reasons not to play him. They'll list him with an injury. They'll say he's not ready. They'll say they need to see more in practice. It's all code for, we don't want to admit we were wrong about not wanting him in the first place. Because here's the real truth that's got Stefanski shook. Shedeur Sanders operates at his absolute best in chaotic environments. That's what he's been doing his entire football life. He's played for his father, dealt with all the media attention, all the pressure, all the noise, and he's thrived. The Browns right now? That's chaos. The locker room is frustrated. The fans are calling for changes. The defense is exhausted from carrying the team, and the offense can't stay on the field. That's Shedeur's playground. But if Stefanski puts him in, and Shedeur goes out there and lights it up, if he goes out there and does what everyone thinks he can do, then Stefanski has to answer some very uncomfortable questions. Why wasn't he playing before? Why did you wait this long? Why did you let Dillon Gabriel lose us 4 games when we could have been playing Shedeur? And Stefanski doesn't want to answer those questions. So what does he do? He tells the media, "My focus is on Dillon Gabriel right now," and he lists Shedeur with a back injury that conveniently keeps him inactive, but not injured enough to stop him from throwing. Pre-game warm-ups. You can't make this up. Let's talk about what Tom Brady would say about this situation. Because we've heard him talk about similar scenarios in his broadcasts, Brady's whole philosophy is about preparation meeting opportunity. He's talked about how young quarterbacks need reps, need to feel the speed of the game, need to make mistakes, and learn from them in real time. You can't develop a quarterback by keeping him on the bench. You just can't. And when you look at what Brady's been saying about the current crop of young quarterbacks in the league, he's been praising guys who show confidence, who show arm talent, who show the ability to process information quickly and make throws under pressure. That's literally Shedeur's entire scouting report. That's what he did in college. That's why he was drafted. But Stefanski's approach is the complete opposite of the Brady blueprint. Instead of giving Shedeur a chance to grow and develop, he's protecting his own ego and his own decision-making. And that's not what championship organizations do. That's not what the Patriots did. That's not what the Buccaneers did. Winners put the best players on the field, regardless of who wanted them on the roster or who didn't. Now let's talk about the locker room, because this is where things are about to get real ugly for Cleveland. Right now, the players are being professional. They're saying the right things in interviews. They're supporting Dillon Gabriel publicly. But behind closed doors? Come on, man. These dudes ain't stupid. They can see the same thing we're all seeing. Myles Garrett looked absolutely disgusted on the sideline after their last game. Denzel Ward's body language tells you everything you need to know. These defensive players are bawling out, playing their hearts out week after week, and the offense can't hold up their end of the bargain. And at some point, one of those team captains is going to speak up. Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward is going to pull Stefanski aside and say, "Listen, we need to try something different. We need to make a change," because that's what leaders do. They have tough conversations when the ship is sinking, and make no mistake, the Browns' ship is sinking right now. They're 1-3. They're in last place in their division. They have no identity on offense, and they're wasting an elite defensive performance week after week because their quarterback can't score points. Here's what makes this even more frustrating for Browns fans. They've seen this movie before. For 36 years, Cleveland has been searching for a franchise quarterback. 36 years! They've drafted quarterbacks, they've signed free agent quarterbacks, they've traded for quarterbacks, and nothing has worked. And now, they finally get a guy with legitimate first-round talent, a guy who's been groomed and coached at the highest level, a guy who has all the tools to succeed in the NFL. And they won't play him. It's insanity. It's insanity. And now we're seeing Shedeur start to show his frustration publicly. He's liking Instagram posts that are calling for him to start after the bye week. Now, he's still being professional in his interviews, still saying all the right things about supporting Dillon Gabriel and being a good teammate. But you can read between the lines. Deep down, Shedeur knows he's better than Dillon Gabriel. And you know what? Every single person watching this situation knows it too. That's not disrespect to Dillon Gabriel as a person, or even as a player. But when you compare the two, there's levels to this. Shedeur has a stronger arm. Shedeur processes information faster. Shedeur has played in bigger games with more pressure. Shedeur has dealt with more media scrutiny in college than most NFL quarterbacks deal with their entire careers. He's built for this moment, but he's not getting the opportunity. And that's what would drive Tom Brady crazy if he was asked about this situation directly. Because Brady built his entire legacy on getting opportunities and making the most of them. He'd look at the Cleveland situation and ask the same question everyone else is asking. If Dillon Gabriel isn't giving you the best chance to win games, why are you still playing him? Because at the end of the day, football is about winning. That's it. That's the whole sport. Wins and losses. And right now, Kevin Stefanski is choosing to lose with Dillon Gabriel rather than take a chance on winning with Shedeur Sanders. Let me tell you what's going to happen next, because this story is far from over. The Browns are going into their bye week right now, which means they got 2 weeks before they play again. And you better believe every single person in that building is going to be thinking about this quarterback situation. The coaches, the players, the front office, everybody. After the bye week, they're playing the Jets. And if Dillon Gabriel goes out there and lays another egg, if he goes 1-4 or 1-5 as a starter, the pressure is going to be unbearable. The media is going to be relentless. The fans are going to be calling for Stefanski's job. And most importantly, the locker room is going to start breaking. Because here's what people don't understand about NFL locker rooms. Players will tolerate a lot of things, but they won't tolerate losing when they know there's a better option sitting right there on the bench. They won't tolerate a coaching staff that's more worried about protecting their ego than putting the team in the best position to win. Right now, Stefanski is on thin ice. He's walking a tightrope. And one bad performance from Dillon Gabriel after the bye week might be all it takes for this whole thing to blow up. When that happens, when the players start speaking out publicly, when the captains start demanding changes, that's when things get really interesting. Part 2. The Deeper Conspiracy. 1,300 words. But let's take this even further, because there's another layer to this story that people aren't talking about enough. And it connects back to what Tom Brady represents in the NFL versus what Kevin Stefanski represents. Brady represents the meritocracy, the idea that the best player should play, regardless of how they got there or who drafted them. Brady was a 6th-round pick that nobody wanted, and he outworked everyone to become the greatest of all time. He didn't care about politics or egos or who wanted him on the roster. He just went out and proved he was the best option, and the Patriots had no choice but to play him. Stefanski represents the opposite. He represents coaching staffs that get attached to their guys, that refuse to admit when they're wrong, that prioritize their own job security over the team's success. And that's what makes this situation so frustrating to watch. Because everyone can see it except the people making the decisions. Let's talk about the Browns' offensive talent for a second, because this is important context. They don't have the Detroit Lions' weapons. They don't have Green Bay's receiving corps. They don't have Cincinnati's dynamic playmakers. What they have is solid but not spectacular. Amari Cooper is a legitimate #1 receiver, but he's not in his prime anymore. Jerry Jeudy is talented but inconsistent. The offensive line is middle of the pack at best. So when you combine that level of talent with a quarterback who can't push the ball downfield and won't take risks, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to lose. Simple as that. Now imagine putting Shedeur Sanders in that same offense. You got a quarterback with a legitimate NFL arm who can actually hit those deep shots to Cooper and Jeudy. You got a guy who's comfortable operating in chaos, making plays outside of structure when the pocket collapses. You got someone who can extend plays with his legs when necessary and keep drives alive. Suddenly, that same offense looks completely different. Those same receivers start getting more opportunities. The defense has to respect the deep ball, which opens up the run game. Everything changes when you have a quarterback who can actually threaten the entire field. But Stefanski doesn't want to find that out. Because finding that out means admitting he was wrong. And NFL coaches would rather go down with their ship than admit they were wrong about a personnel decision. Here's something else that's wild. The Browns' offensive coordinator is in an impossible position right now. Think about it from his perspective. He knows Dillon Gabriel has limitations. He knows the quarterback can't make certain throws. So what's he supposed to do? He's trying to scheme around those limitations, calling plays that protect Dillon Gabriel's weaknesses instead of attacking the defense's weaknesses. But here's the problem with that approach. When you're scheming around your quarterback's limitations, you're playing scared. You're playing not to lose instead of playing to win. And defenses can smell that. They know when an offense is playing scared. They know when a quarterback doesn't have the green light to push the ball downfield. So they sit on the short routes. They crowd the box, and they dare you to beat them over the top. And when you can't, you lose. Meanwhile, if they put Shedeur in, the offensive coordinator could actually call a real NFL offense. He could use play action because the defense has to respect the deep ball. He could stretch the field vertically and horizontally. He could attack all three levels of the defense instead of just operating in a phone booth. That's the difference between having a quarterback who opens up your playbook versus one who limits it. Tom Brady would understand this better than anyone. He spent 20 years in New England operating in an offensive system that required pre-snap reads, post-snap adjustments, and the ability to hit throws at every level of the field. That's what made the Patriots' offense so dangerous. Brady could execute any play in the playbook, which meant the defense never knew what was coming. But what Cleveland's running right now with Dillon Gabriel, defenses know exactly what's coming. They know it's going to be short passes, they know it's going to be safe throws, and they know they can sit on routes and jump them for interceptions. There's no fear factor. There's no, oh shoot, we got to respect everything mentality. And that's why they're 1-3. Now let's talk about what happens if this situation doesn't change. Let's say Stefanski sticks with Dillon Gabriel for another month. They go 1-7, maybe 2-6 if they're lucky. At that point, the season is essentially over. They're out of playoff contention, the fans have completely turned on the coaching staff, and the front office is making plans for next year. But here's what's really devastating about that scenario. They will have wasted an entire year of development for Shedeur Sanders. Whether Shedeur was ready to start week 1 or not is debatable, but by week 8 or week 10, yeah, he's definitely ready. And if you're not going to make the playoffs anyway, why not use that time to develop your first-round quarterback? Why not get him reps against NFL defenses? Why not let him make his mistakes now so he's ready to compete for a playoff spot next year? But if Stefanski keeps him on the bench all season because of ego, or stubbornness, or whatever reason he's got in his head, then they've wasted a year. And in the NFL, you can't waste years. The window for success is too small. Players get older, contracts expire, the salary cap forces you to make tough decisions. You can't afford to waste time on stubbornness. This is where championship organizations separate themselves from mediocre ones. The Patriots didn't hesitate to bench Drew Bledsoe when Brady gave them a better chance to win. The Chargers are doing the right thing by letting their young guys develop. Green Bay moved on from Aaron Rodgers and handed the keys to Jordan Love. That's what winners do. They make tough decisions for the good of the team, not their own ego. But Cleveland? Man, Cleveland stays Cleveland. They find new ways to mess up the quarterback position every single year. And this year, they're messing it up by refusing to play the guy who might actually be good. Here's my prediction for how this plays out. Dillon Gabriel gets one more start after the bye week against the Jets. If he struggles again, if the offense continues to look anemic, if they lose that game, the pressure becomes too much to ignore. The media will be screaming for Shedeur. The fans will be chanting his name at home games. And most importantly, the locker room will start making noise. When Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward finally speaks up publicly and says, "We need to try something different," that's when Stefanski's hand gets forced. He'll have no choice but to make the change. And when he does, when Shedeur finally gets his shot, one of two things is going to happen. Shot. One of two things is gonna happen. Either Shedeur plays well and proves everyone right, which makes Stefanski look terrible for waiting so long. Or Shedeur struggles, which gives Stefanski ammunition to say, "See, I told you he wasn't ready," even though the real issue was that he should have been playing and developing all along. But you know what? I'm betting on Shedeur. I'm betting he goes out there and shows exactly why he was worth a first-round pick. Because he's been preparing for this moment his entire life. He's dealt with pressure that would crush most people. He's played in hostile environments, handled media scrutiny, and performed on the biggest stages college football has to offer. The NFL might be faster and more physical, but the mental game. Shedeur's been ready for that, and when he finally gets his chance, when he finally gets to show what he can do against an NFL defense, Cleveland is going to realize what they've been wasting all this time. They're going to see a quarterback who can actually move the offense, who can make throws that Dillon Gabriel can't make, who can operate under pressure without falling apart. That's when the real conversation begins. That's when people start asking why it took so long. That's when Kevin Stefanski has to face the music and answer for his decisions. So here's what I want you to do right now. Drop a comment and tell me if you think Shedeur should be starting for the Browns. Are you Team Shedeur or Team Dillon Gabriel? And more importantly, do you think Kevin Stefanski is sabotaging this kid because of ego? Or is there something else going on here? Because one thing's for sure, this story is far from over. The Browns are about to face some serious decisions, and the whole football world is watching. Will they do the right thing and give Shedeur his shot? Or will they continue down this path of mediocrity and waste another season? Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because when Shedeur finally gets his chance, you're going to want to be here for the reaction. This is about to get real interesting, folks. Real interesting.